Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another scene from the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. This scene will be set on the Sept of the Green, and probably primarily Umbra side, just for lulz, because there's two Therges, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So we will begin this scene with 10 Point just before she goes about tending to the shrine that she is crafting for the Hind, getting a hold of one of the pigeon spirits that she has been feeding regularly, and asking a slight favor of it in exchange for an extra handful of some of the more favored seeds that they go for and pick out first from whatever she casts out, and sends this gregarious little pigeon over to collect the renowned Rocks Your Socks, as she is already expecting a visit with the Wyrmfoe, but might as well. Well, we don't kill birds with stones. That would be mean. So we're not going to even use that metaphor. But yeah, so she'll be settling in there, tending to the various small elemental spirits that are gathering about this sculpture for the Hind, while this pigeon flits across Sept to collect one person to meet with, while the other is hopefully already en route.
Cinematically, the camera pans to this fluttering spirit pigeon in the umbra. He teeters to the left, teeters to the right, glides, raises in altitude, and lands on an open windowsill. An open windowsill that belongs to one Rocks Your Socks. Rocks Your Socks is listening to music and staring in the mirror, rubbing his face, getting ready for a long overdue shave. And when suddenly he starts hearing, "What? What? What?" He's like, "What in the fuck?" Turns around, looks to the windowsill, arms in the archway, and goes, "What?" "Come to the shrine. Come to the shrine. 10 Point at the shrine." Okay. "The message is sent. Good boy." And it flies away. So Felix collects his spider satchel, straps it diagonally across his chest, and he goes ahead and he slips into the umbra, runs downstairs, parts the Weaver Sea as he crosses the street, all glowy and shit, and makes his way to the shrine.
Eric Skovgard, aka Wormsguard, is finishing up his rounds for the evening. He already has taken a shower, made sure he's all fresh and clean, especially after a long particular patrol, considering how much we actually have for Guardians currently. And he'll actually take his time heading towards the Golden Hind Shrine. Particularly enjoying a nice stroll and smoking a cigarette. And once he actually gets to the shrine where whereabouts it would be in the Tellurian, he'll actually put out a cigarette, put the butt in his pocket, and pull his knife and cross over. To which he would probably be in the vicinity of hopefully the Metis that he's supposed to meet here, who wrote on his board saying they wanted to meet him. Was to talk about some information from her pack. Once he actually crosses over, Eric in the Tellurian Um, looks pretty much as he does, except that his eyes have this electric blue glow, and currents of electricity seem to pass through him and coalesce around him um, every so often um, in the Umbra.
And the general zone the guys are approaching is essentially where the Shrine to Stag rests. But of late, there has been a statue, a sculpture forming out of clay, very near to where the stag stands. A doe kind of curled up on the ground, looking just generally serene. At this point, it has been fleshed out to include not only a wolf cub nestled against her side, but also what looks essentially like a human child as well, kind of curled against her side. The more point of interest is that in the vicinity of this forming shrine, there's a number of small, I guess, jaglings, elemental jaglings, all four elements coexisting surprisingly well, and just kind of huddling there, keeping close, passively wandering, but generally just kind of hanging out in a strange coexisting situation. Even 10 Point is kind of bemused by. But yeah, once either one has approached, she'll, especially in the case of when Skavgard shows up, she will pause what she's in the midst of, probably setting down a lump of clay. She tends to sit cross-legged alongside the sculpture to work on it. And so she'll set down her lump of clay and just kind of roll casually onto her back, chin tilted as far as she can, considering the antlers, really.
Yeah, and once Eric takes in the sight of all these damn spirits just seeming to loom around, hang out, he kind of gives it a dubious glance, but then since they're not really seem to have any kind of problems that seem to be happening lately around the sept with other spirits, he kind of just pushes it out of his mind and focuses more on the Metis, postulating herself kind of before him. Yeah, once she shows her respect, he will basically let her sit there for a long moment. He actually never seen her before, and kind of just takes her in for the moment, especially because of the antlers. He has never quite seen anything like that. There's even like a soft, like a sort of like guttural chuckle from him, um, just because of the name she was given and just how literal it seems to be.
Oh, it is. Better yet, as she kind of careens back onto her back and stilts her head back as far as she can, there's a light chiming and jingling as there seem to be small bells bound to the antlers that are kind of chiming off here and there until she stops moving. But yeah, between the antlers and her nasty case of the speckle butt, she's kind of comically comically deer-like, and particularly in the Umbra, it's not so much that there's any proper change to her, but the antlers somehow become more prominent. They almost seem bigger than they are, and the dappling on her back and flanks becomes maybe also a little. It stands out a little more than it does in the Tellurian.
Eric will actually lean down and grab her by the antlers, at least one of them, and he will hoist her up. Um, kind of looking at the the size and especially like the bells, and as he does so, he'll kind of just give like a slow, um, like his voice is like kind of like a slow, like a rolling kind of thunder, and he's just like, "Introduce yourself."
And yeah, there's a mild wince, not when she's lifted, ironically, but when the fingers wrap tightly around the antler.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she is readily hoisted up. A, he's a pretty strong guy, and B, she's not exactly resisting. If anything, she's kind of moving to assist him in this so that even in Krynos, she's a pretty easy lift. Besides, he's essentially got a grip on her skull. She's going where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she'll get hoisted up, head kind of canted to wherever he's twisting the antler. And
It's just upwards. Like it's like that main antler's like pointing straight up in the air, kind of, I guess. So like her head would be kind of canted, I would assume.
yep. So she'll be standing there at whatever hunch or height necessary, because I assume he's in helmet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's hunched down. She's got her head kind of canted, and she is staring very studiously down at like his knee level. Like there's not even like looking up at the general face region. And she will obediently speak. Raya, I am known as 10 Point, Metisborn Theurge of the Fianna, and Cleeth to the nation.
I'm Eric Skovgard, deeded all this ash, Fimbul's blood, first and last battle, shatters the moonlit maw, and guardian of memory, home and Auron of the god of Fenris, and Wyrmfoe to this sept. You have information for me, Metis? And he'll kind of like let go of her antler at that point, kind of like a little roughly, like it kind of jerks her head a bit.
All right. And yeah, she gets a bit of a jostle, and just the only real motion she makes of her own accord is just putting her head right side up, really, after that. And again, strangely enough, the small spirits lingering around don't seem to take over much interest, even though it's a bit aggressive there. They're mostly lingering close to the sculpture for some reason. So yeah, she'll kind of right her head. Say, yes, Raya, my pack has spoken extensively on the topic of this Endron oil that we saw drilling in the forests upstate. We wish to ask permission to go and meddle, perhaps with the assistance of Rocks Your Socks Raya, if he is, pardon, Rocks Your Socks Yuff, bleh, if he is agreeable to it, so that we can prevent something before it becomes an outright battle.
You said they're already there? I was under the impression that they weren't there yet.
They're not, Raya, but they will be potentially coming to check their findings. And with time, we can perhaps arrange to have spirits present before Worm Taint takes hold to throw off their machinery, to give them poor results when they test. If I had known that they had been there before they had taken the samples, perhaps I could have spoken to earth spirits in the area and had them hide what the humans were looking for.
Whatever we can do to prevent as much as we can, do it.
Speaking of machinery, Felix arrives at about this point with his earbuds in, his hands glowing brightly and his feet glowing brightly. His eyes a little different than usual, and one could even assume and attribute it to his fatigue, but his eyes, which usually glow this bright neon blue, seem to be more cracked in the umbra. I would reference, if you've seen the new Doctor Strange movie, the eyes that Caecilius had. Marvel dealt to us. And he just sort of takes out his earbuds and he's just like, so, oh, and lifts his chin, falls on his knees.
You can get up, Rocks Your Socks.
Yep.
I hate that name, by the way. I really do.
It was hey, I distracted a god with music. I can't complain.
Fair enough, but still. uh, anyways, now that you're here, I guess you can put in your 2 cents as well. But as you were saying, Metis,
I have had further visions, Yuff and Raya, on the matter. The sooner that we can move, the more that we can meddle before they break ground, the better. I have a last-ditch notion that may, if it comes that far, keep them from getting far in building, but in this vision, if they are allowed to break ground, I saw the worm flooding across the earth. I saw all of the trees were on fire. It was an immediate effect. So if they get that far, that battleground changes dramatically.
I assume this is about the oil thing?
yes, Andron fucking found oil in upstate New York. Fucking New York. Who would have fucking
Oil?
thought of that? Yes. I think what you have going on is good so far. I would prefer that we, as you said, handle as much as we can before they actually get there. The more that we could keep them from even breaking ground, I would fully support that. So yeah, you guys move forward on that.
I have heard, Raya, that humans can be very suspicious. Perhaps if enough spirits are involved, if they get bad readings when they come to double check their findings, if the place seems spooky or inhospitable, they may be loath to continue.
Sabotage. You've piqued my interest.
My only thing of that is that humans are greedy. They don't really give a fuck about what's there now as long as it puts money in their pockets. So, what do you think, Felix?
Well, what immediately comes to mind is their readings, their findings. I can only assume that most of them are digitalized, in which case that would leave the Glasswalkers an opening to tamper with those results, which may not be a permanent solution, but we can at least bide our time by, screwing with whatever information they've gathered. And
The only
whatever.
thing is that you are in the forest, not the city. So how good would Glasswalker be in the situation here? You would actually have to maybe be on site or actually go to where their home base is, right?
Absolutely. I have experience in this back in Chicago of infiltrating buildings and doing manual hacks.
Could you perhaps convince them that they got what I believe is called a false positive, Yuff?
False positive.
Make them think that perhaps the readings that they got, they had some Weaver thing. Public Enemy Raya seemed very impressed with what they brought into the forest to test. Perhaps if they believed that what they initially found was some computer failure and was not actually what was there, they would not pursue it?
I'll have to get more information from Public Enemy Raya about what exactly they found, but who knows? We could at least try to forge another substance having been found underground. I'd love to see them smack each other over an underground water reservoir.
Even if they come to retest, if I am able to speak to my friends here, and she gestures to the elementals kind of just chilling in the vicinity. Perhaps they can alter what is found in the future so that this does not show. If it was oil, if it was Gaia's blood that changed the one spirit to make him what he is now, I can only imagine that bringing more of it to the surface would either strengthen him or create another like him.
Mm. Hmm. You go ahead and continue what you were doing. You and your pack. Make sure that we have some spirits there. That will do just that. Whatever chiminage you need, let me know. Whatever we can do to either fully divert them or whatever, like that needs to be done. If we don't even have to fight, I would prefer that, but if it comes to that, then whatever.
I will do all that I can, Raya. I am given to understand that even things as convenient as having it rain when they come to do their testing, having lightning across the sky so that it plays with their machinery, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But anything that serves as an inconvenient deterrent might at least stall, or if we can convince them that what they want is not there, we may send them away.
I'm good with that. As far as you, Felix, I told Aiden to actually get with the Seekers. I don't know if he's actually done that yet, but I want if we can sabotage the equipment as well, and maybe even find where their corporation is or headquarters that they're working out of. I want that destroyed.
Gladly.
I am not sure how thorough the report was, Raya, but I can confirm that at least Umbraside, in the site where they were punching holes in the earth, there was no inherent worm taint to Gaia. There was no taint to the grounds, but there was a lingering trail from where the humans passed.
I wouldn't doubt that just punching holes would create worm taint, but still, I heard that they're killing wolves as well.
From what I understand, Raya, they had killed one, and Binding Tempest, Raya was able to step across and free its spirit to pass. But when when Aiden was spotted, Aiden Yuff, he was not shot at for some reason, Raya. He was able to back away into the woods without being attacked or chased. I believe he was threatened, Raya, but was not attacked.
If anything, they might understand that they have people watching them now. So it just makes it more important. If anything that we can handle on the upper, we need to do that.
And you said that the trails of worm taint, you said they could be traced to the people.
I believe it was just the footprint, if you will, left by the people as they walked through and did their tests. It was not something inherent to the grounds there.
God damn it, that's the third company that I've heard of. Fourth, even.
I mean, a lot of humans have worm taint on them.
It was...
It wouldn't be too much of a stretch, considering that they're in the middle of nowhere.
It was perhaps slightly more than the average human that passes into the park from the city, but it was not grievous. Right.
Sorry, after this business with King Brewery and Megadon, I've been keeping my eyes open.
There's a lot to watch out for lately, but it is what it is. It's fucking New York. I like where you guys are going with this 10 point. I don't know how many times I can say this. Just whatever you guys need to do with that, do it. If you guys can, make them decide, that it's just everything's false or whatever, like that's great. And then if we can, like I said, figure out where they're actually operating out of so we can sabotage equipment and do further damage, I would like to do that as well. Hell, I'd like to put them out of business. Then again, as long as it just takes their branch away from here, I'm content with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so 10 point will nod. Very for lack of a better word, just kind of like the submissive little nod of acceptance, and then cant her head very slightly towards Felix. Yef, my packmates, my Rayas, asked my advice on other Theurges to bring with us, and I suggested you, if you are willing to accompany us on these.
Gladly, yeah. Any sign of the worm, I'm more than happy to help squash.
Plus, if they need any help with, equipment or otherwise, or electrical systems there, you should be on that.
Exactly that, Raya. I am minimally experienced with the Weaver. The sept where I was raised was remote.
I seem to have brought my city experience with me. I came from Chicago with the other Garu that currently inhabit the sept.
Well, we're definitely putting you to good use here, so like I said, I'm glad to actually have you here.
Thank you. Thank you both. Yeah. Give me the when and the where, and I'll be there, phone in hand.
Much appreciated, Yef. I will inform my Rayas.
Was that all that you needed of me?
Yes, Raya. We meant simply to seek your permission to act and to spearhead these actions so that perhaps they did not get out of hand.
Fair enough. Though, if for some reason that they do dig, and they do bring about oil and what have you, how do you suggest we handle that?
In the event that it comes so far that they begin to drill, I mean to ask a dramatic favor of the resident earth spirits, Raya, to prevent it.
Is that what you meant by something radical earlier?
Yes, Raya. The cost would be very high, but I think that the cost is equal,
Well
or
worth
if
it.
anything, yes, well worth the result of keeping that portion of properly wild Gaian forest clean. It seemed almost as though if they were able to dig, if they were able to drill, that we would have a proper army there in record time wormish creatures spread as far as the eye could see.
Do you know when the next time they plan on doing any more testing? I heard drilling's supposed to start like a month and a half or something like that.
I believe that is what I heard as Predator's Focus Raya was reading the paper.
Good. Then we have plenty of time. But let's not waste any time on this. Go ahead and enact whatever you need to enact right away.
Oh. Another thought, perhaps, especially if the children of Gaia wish to be involved. I know many have numerous kin, and I have heard of the protests that took place in other Gaian places where they tried to drill and how it stalled dramatically the work or stopped it entirely. If they wish to contribute, if those who have many kin wish to contribute, perhaps forming protests and stalling the company can buy us more time to make it inhospitable to them.
Talk to the Foster, Cleeth, William White. I know he has kinfolk. I don't know how many, and I know that they're heading up some kind of initiative for ecological causes.
And she'll give her antlered head a deep, kind of a slowish bow of the head, so that the rasping from the bells is minimal. Of course, she like doesn't flinch, but there's that half second where she like freezes, so that she's not, she can't be construed as trying to like yank it out of the way or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as soon as a hand starts detectably going for the antlers, she just kind of goes still.
Yep, just a little pink.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right, I think we're headed in a good direction. We seem to be on the same mindset. We seem to have plenty of time to prepare, and if we needed something should go awry, we have still more time to kind of figure that out from there. So I feel good with proceeding forward. You guys do what you need to do.
Should we not have any action to take before the second survey, I'd like to be present to see if maybe there's something I, at the very least, could do to sabotage that second survey.
I mean, if you can, for some reason, get to the location, where they're operating out of, if you can find that and get to the equipment beforehand, that'd be fine. Or wipe out the archives, whatever you want to do. Just like you said, fuck that place.
You could probably speak to Public Enemy Raya. She may know more on who and where they are than I do.
We'll do just that then. Thank you, 10 point.
And he will also get like the kind of deep slow bow of the head. An acknowledgement.
And similarly, Felix will reach a hand out to...
Same thing. As soon as she sees a hand going for the antlers, she goes very, very still, like enabling whatever the fuck he's about to do. And yeah, ding, 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 ding.
You wouldn't know anything about getting a precious stone, would you, Metis? Something large, maybe like a ruby
or a garnet.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of thinks for a moment. I understand that there are many museums here, Raya. Perhaps I have seen pictures where they have exhibits of different stones, different gemstones. There is that. But if it were to become a point of necessity, one could perhaps summon the appropriate spirit, and it may bring across with it, especially if bargained with, its physical manifestation.
If perhaps we were able to summon it, do you have experience with those specific types of spirits?
Not with the gemstones in particular, Yuff, but I could certainly take time to meditate on the problem and see what I could pull together. And I have many small earth spirits here already that I could perhaps speak to.
What I'm trying to do is I made a promise to Garrett's rock spirit, trying to empower it, give it more confidence, maybe even turn into an ally that might help protect the sept. And he needs something to protect. The last one he had was taken from him as part of a chiminage to the father, spirit of catastrophe or cacophony, something like that. Which is what's causing all the elementals around the sept to go haywire. Delve deep into their nature, so.
Yes. While a summoning could be done, perhaps if a way was found to summon from a particular area, Raya, because summoning the spirit of a ruby or garnet from deep within the earth might be seen as more of a rude gesture, whereas if one could summon from within the city, where none of these naturally reside, it would mean that you were, in a way, perhaps liberating the spirit from where it had been stolen from the earth, even if it could not bring its Tellurian reflection with it. Perhaps it would give you a direction to go to liberate it from human hands, at which point I am sure it would be grateful to be protected by another earth spirit of greater size and strength, so that a similar thing would not happen to it again, and it would be able to rest again in the earth as it is meant to.
Each time 10 Point uses the word liberate, Felix perks up a little.
You seem to like this idea?
I do. It's I'm particularly of the philosophy that there's a lot out there that are in hands and in minds that aren't shared. And liberating is, quite frankly, it's one of my hobbies.
The only thing is I'm quite not a fan of going to the city right now, considering all the Weaver activity.
Perhaps if one were to do a more mundane form of liberation, Ryan, in the Tellurian, and simply retrieve the physical manifestation of the gem spirit.
He says with a little bit of a smile.
Yeah, that's what it seems like is what it's going to have to be.
I am sure that the Ragabashes would be happy to have a project, Raya.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. I know the perfect one. Well, not perfect, but, one in particular. I'm sure all of them will love to do it, but give them something to do and get them out from under my goddamn cabin. All right. Good ideas. This is what I like. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, if you don't need anything else from me, I'm gonna go and get on about my night. But yeah, like I said, do what you guys need to do. You guys have my full support. And let me know how that turns out and give me, progress on what you guys decide to do to actually keep them from, you know, starting the drilling or not. If you're able to get to find out any other information, like where they're working out of, like let us know about that as well, because we will probably end up attacking that area as well.
Of course, Ryan.
And
Yeah, I have some information to report on the Weaver front, but perhaps that could be saved for another time.
yeah, no offense. Yeah, well, he looks at the medicine, just like, "Phew." Yeah, that's for me and you.
Yes, sir.
Well, you guys enjoy your evening, and you just turn and walk off.
Good work, 10 Point, and glad to see glad to see more of the Seekers out there.
And she will probably just kind of chill until Eric is a certain distance away, but about time Felix chatters at her will lax a bit and cant her big old head around. Of course, yes. We have been watching, learning, adapting, but we are still members of this sept now.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate the capable. We will be happy to work with you if you are willing to do it.
Absolutely, I'm always an advocate for progress. So,
She'll give her big old head another bow.
yep. On that note, I've got stuff to look into. You've got stuff to look into. I'll see you around.
Good luck, Yef, in your dealings with the Weaver. I must report back to my pack.
And good luck with that as well.
Thank
He
you, Yef.
offers a polite nod back before turning and putting his earbuds in and walking back, some of the elemental spirits giving him a shifty look as he does so.
And 10 Point will clean up her area, wrap the big wad of clay back up in plastic, and put it back in her swag. Bid the elementals that she has offered hospitality a polite little farewell, and go ahead and head off to report back to her pack at their cabin. So I imagine with that parting of ways, we can say thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching. And we will see you next time on The Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.